If you've been following me for a while, you probably know that I'm not a huge fan of sunscreen because most products on the market are toxic. But in today's video, I'll introduce you to the first sunscreen I'm comfortable putting on my skin and the skin of my kids and wife. And I'm referring to the brand new OS1 Body SPF by OneSkin, if that guy gets ever in focus. So this is this guy. OneSkin is special for many reasons. It's not just a mineral-based sunscreen. It has other components that can significantly improve the effectiveness and reduce skin damage. But before we get into the product review, I want to make one thing crystal clear. Sensible sun exposure is crucial for optimal health. For example, the sun is our best source of vitamin D, and that's essential for bone health, immune function, and mood regulation. It's also a major factor in regulating our circadian rhythm and sleep. So if you don't get enough sunlight without wearing protection, without wearing sunglasses, then all of those bodily functions are negatively impacted, resulting in poor sleep, low testosterone levels, low vitamin D levels, low immunity, and all of those things. So you want to be in the sun as much as possible and as much as your skin can handle without incurring damage. And of course, there is such a thing as too much sun exposure, especially if you go on vacation. Like in our case, we went from the winter of Georgia to Costa Rica, exposed ourselves to the Costa Rican sun, and our skin wasn't resilient enough to be in the sun all day. We need to do something, either be in the shade, wear sunscreen, do something, right? And that's where good sunscreen comes in handy. But unfortunately, not all sunscreens are created equal. Many of today's sunscreens contain toxic chemicals. For example, oxybenzone and avobenzone are common UV filters, chemical UV filters, but are also known as endocrine disruptors, meaning that they mess with your sex hormones and specifically estrogen. By doing so, they may cause you weight gain or impair your ability to lose weight, cause infertility, reproductive issues. A whole list of health issues can arise from exposing yourself to those endocrine disruptors. And I have a dedicated blog post about those xenoestrogens, as they are called, so check that out. I'm going to link it down below. There are other components in many sunscreens like retinol palmitate that can degrade under sunlight and might increase your skin damage risk. And that brings us to OneSkin's OS1 Body SPF, as it's called. It's a mineral-based sunscreen, and it uses 14% non-nano zinc oxide as its active ingredient. Now, of course, OneSkin is not the first mineral-based sunscreen. We're going to get to what it makes it truly unique. But just to talk a little bit about mineral-based sunscreens, they provide a physical barrier. Unlike chemical UV filters, a mineral-based sunscreen using zinc oxide, for example, builds a physical barrier that reflects and scatters UV radiation, so it reduces the chance that UV radiation of damaging your cells, damaging your skin. And it's also very skin-friendly. Makes it especially suitable for sensitive skin types. But what truly sets the OneSkin sunscreen apart is its proprietary OS1 peptide. The OS1 peptide is a proprietary component that OneSkin developed specifically to reduce oxidative stress, target cell senescence, and improve the skin's protective barrier. If you don't know what cell senescence is, it's basically a fancy word for cell death. Cells die all the time. That's part of the regular renewal process. The problem is if the rate of cell death is bigger than the rate of cell renewal. That's when you run into issues, and that's when you see signs of aging. So as we age, so the assumption is the rate of cell renewal goes down, the rate of cell death remains the same or even goes up, caused by stress, alcohol consumption, nicotine, poor sleep, etc., poor diet. And so we age, cells break down and don't renew anymore. And the OS1 peptide specifically targets that cell senescence by reducing cell death on the one hand, and on the other hand, making sure those dead cells are cleared out and recycled. That's also something that naturally happens in a healthy body. However, let's assume that doesn't happen because of lifestyle factors, because of UV radiation, what have you. Then those senescent cells accumulate and can damage the surrounding cells. It's akin to having a bad apple in a basket of good apples. That bad apple can then spoil the apples around it. And the same principle applies to senescent cells. They release inflammatory toxins that can then affect the surrounding cells. And so the OS1 peptide makes sure those cells get transported off quickly, recycled quickly, and trashed, and don't stick around to incur more damage. And that combination of having the zinc oxide, which prevents cell damage in the first place because of scattering that UV radiation and making it less, I guess, intense, reducing the amount of energy that gets dumped into the cells by the UV light, which can cause the damage. And with the OS1 peptide that can then help the cells become more resilient and transport waste off quicker, it's a game changer as far as sun blocking and reducing sun damage is concerned. Now, the OneSkin sunscreen is an SPF 30. It's water resilient for 80 minutes, so you can go into the water with it, you can sweat with it, etc. It applies fairly easily because there is one thing, it's one of the reasons why, there are two reasons why I don't like sunscreen very much. Number one is because most of them are toxic, and so I don't want to put anything toxic on my skin. And number two is when I'm at the beach, I'm already hot, I'm sweaty, and then having a greasy mineral-based sunscreen that I have to apply, it makes my skin crawl. It's seriously, I can't do it. I have to go like, somewhere, inside, cool down, and then, reluctantly put on the sunscreen before going back out. Doing it in the heat is something that, I don't know, I don't know why I have that, but it is what it is. I hate sunscreen. I hate applying sunscreen, especially thick mineral-based greasy ones. The OneSkin sunscreen is different. It's super lightweight. It applies very easily. You can spread it easily. It doesn't leave that thick white layer that you're used to from mineral-based sunscreens. It has a natural or neutral scent, I should say. It doesn't really smell like anything. It doesn't have any fragrances that are also endocrine disrupting. And it pairs obviously well with, the OS1 Face SPF, with the OneSkin's face sunscreen. And by the time when we went to Costa Rica in winter, there was no body sunscreen from OneSkin yet. We only had the face sunscreen, and we just used it for the body, because that's the only thing we had. We had one little tube, and that was it for the entire family. But fortunately, we used it smartly. We only applied it when we had to. Otherwise, we leveraged clothing and shade, etc., to kind of, manage our sun exposure. But it lasted for, the 2 weeks we were in Costa Rica. We had that one tube. It was a small one because it was meant for the face, but it applied easily. It spread easily. It was great. I did not mind wearing it, And the body one is the same thing. It's just as easy to apply, non-greasy. I don't mind using it. I still don't love sunscreens generally speaking, but I appreciate that I have one whenever we go somewhere where I can't get into the shade, where wearing a clothing, it might not be possible. Maybe, my neck would still be exposed despite wearing a shirt. In those cases, we always have the OneSkin sunscreen with us. Now, pricing wise, as of this recording, this product hasn't been released yet. So I don't know yet what it costs. By the time we publish the video, probably we're going to have it down here with the pricing. I'm waiting on the official pricing because it launches officially in a few days as of this recording. But regardless of what the price tag's going to be, you can use discount code MKUMMER to get 15% off. And that not only applies to the sunscreen, but also to some of the other OneSkin products that I would highly recommend you check out. If you haven't yet, check out my video review, my written review on the anti-aging benefits of the skincare products in general. But going back to the sunscreen, compared to most of the other products on the market, I like this one because it doesn't have any toxins, number one, and B, the way it applies on the skin, the way it feels on the skin, or the fact that I don't feel it on my skin is a game changer. And I really like the inclusion of that OS1 peptide because I've seen firsthand, taking before and after pictures after just using their face lotion for 30 days, what it can do to skin health. And mind you, I'm already doing a lot of things right in terms of, diet, exercise, sleep, stress management. And yet I could still see a difference in the before and after picture as far as my skin health, fine lines, etc. are concerned. I'm 42 now. I'm not a young buck anymore either. And so having that in the sunscreen to make sure it not only protects, but it helps with repair and resilience, for me, is a game changer. I really like that. So if you like the product, check it out. Use the discount code. It helps me. I get a commission. It helps you. You get a discount, so we both win. It's by far my favorite. It's the only sunscreen that I put on my skin. It's the only sunscreen we use for the kids and my wife uses. So, it's in fact a product we regularly use whenever necessary. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more updates. And remember, the most detrimental factor to skin health are poor sleep, poor diet, and chronic stress. So make sure you cover those as well, and you don't just mitigate with cosmetic products that you put on your skin.